My name is Emily. I'm 35 years old. And 3 months ago, I discovered my husband wasn't just having an affair. He was having an affair with someone I saw every single day. Someone I trusted. Someone I loved. My father. I know what you're thinking. That's impossible. That's insane. That can't be real. I thought the same thing when I found out. I'm still thinking it now, even though I've seen the proof with my own eyes. Let me start from the beginning. My husband's name is David. We met 8 years ago at a mutual friend's wedding. He was the best man, charming and funny, with this crooked smile that made my stomach flip. I was a bridesmaid, recently out of a terrible relationship, not looking for anything serious. But David was persistent. He asked for my number, texted me every day, took me on dates that felt like scenes from romantic movies. 6 months later, he proposed on a beach at sunset. Classic, perfect, everything I'd ever wanted. We got married a year after that. Small ceremony, close family and friends. My dad walked me down the aisle with tears in his eyes. My mom had passed away from cancer when I was 19, so it was just the two of us. Dad and me against the world. He shook David's hand at the altar and said, "Take care of my girl." David promised he would. For the first few years, our marriage was good. Not perfect, no marriages, but good. We bought a house in the suburbs. Got a golden retriever named Copper. Talked about having kids someday. David worked in finance, long hours but good money. I taught high school English, loved my students, came home exhausted but fulfilled. My dad lived 20 minutes away in the house I grew up in. After Mom died, he'd thrown himself into work, retired at 62, and spent most of his time working on his vintage car collection and watching old westerns. He was lonely, I knew that. So David and I made sure to include him in everything. Sunday dinners at our place. Holiday gatherings. Random weeknight visits where David would bring over pizza and they'd watch football together. David and my dad got along better than I ever expected. Sometimes I'd walk into the living room and find them laughing at some inside joke or working together in the garage on one of Dad's cars. "You picked a good one," Dad would tell me, clapping David on the shoulder. I thought I had. The first crack appeared about a year ago. Small things. David started working later, coming home at 9, 10, sometimes 11 at night. He'd be on his phone constantly, texting, smiling at the screen in a way that made something in my chest tighten. "Work stuff," he'd say when I asked. Then came the business trips. More frequent, longer. He'd be gone for 3, 4 days at a time. When he came back, he smelled different. Not like perfume exactly, but like someone else's space. Someone else's air. I asked him once casually if everything was okay. "Why wouldn't it be?" he said, not meeting my eyes. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to be the cool wife who didn't snoop, who trusted her husband, who didn't let insecurity poison her marriage. But something was wrong. I could feel it the way you feel a storm coming before the first drop of rain. Then came the phone call that changed everything. It was a Tuesday night. David was on another business trip, this time to Chicago. Or so he said. I was home alone, grading papers on the couch, Copper snoring at my feet. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Hello?" Heavy breathing. Then a voice, female, slurred. "Is this Emily?" "Yes." "Who is this?" "You don't know me, but I know your husband. I know David." My heart stopped. "What?" "He's been sleeping with someone. 4 months." "I thought you should know." The line went dead. I sat there, phone in my hand, shaking. Who was that? How did she have my number? Was she lying? Was this some kind of prank? I tried calling back. The number was disconnected. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. When David called the next morning from his hotel, chipper and casual, asking how I was, I wanted to scream. Instead, I said I was fine and hung up. I needed proof. I couldn't accuse him without proof. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I installed a tracking app on his phone. One of those apps that looks like a game but secretly logs locations, messages, calls. I hated myself for it, but I had to know. For 3 days, I watched his movements. Most of it was normal. This coffee shop, gym. But then, on Friday night, the dot on the map moved to a neighborhood I recognized. My dad's neighborhood. I stared at the screen, confused. Why would David be at my dad's house without telling me? Maybe they were planning a surprise for me. Maybe it was nothing. But the dot stayed there for 4 hours. I called my dad. No answer. Called David. Straight to voicemail. Something was very, very wrong. I got in my car and drove. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely grip the steering wheel. I drove through familiar streets, past the playground where I used to swing as a kid, past the corner store where Dad used to buy me candy. When I pulled up to his house, David's car was in the driveway. My stomach dropped. I sat in my car for a full minute trying to make sense of it. Maybe they were watching a game. Maybe David had stopped by to help with something. Maybe there was a perfectly reasonable explanation. But my gut knew better. I walked up to the front door. It was unlocked. I pushed it open slowly, the hinges creaking. The house was dark except for a light coming from upstairs. From my dad's bedroom. My heart pounded so loud I could hear it in my ears. I climbed the stairs, each step feeling like it took an hour. The bedroom door was cracked open. I pushed it. And I saw them. My husband. My father. In bed. Together. Naked. Tangled in sheets. David's head on my father's chest. I made a sound. A choked, broken sound that didn't feel like it came from me. They both froze. Turned. Saw me. David's face went white. My father's eyes widened in horror. "Emily," Dad started. I ran. I don't remember getting back to my car. I don't remember driving home. I just remember pulling into my driveway, stumbling into my house, and collapsing on the floor. Copper came over and licked my face, whimpering. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Couldn't process what I'd just seen. My husband and my father. My husband and my father. How long had this been going on? How was this even possible? My dad had been married to my mom for 30 years. He'd never shown any sign of. But then I thought about it. Really thought about it. How he'd never remarried after Mom died. How he'd never dated. How he always changed the subject when I asked if he was seeing anyone. How he and David had become so close so fast. Those long Sunday dinners where they'd disappear into the garage for hours. The inside jokes. The business trips that always seemed to coincide with Dad being out of town visiting an old friend. Oh my God. Oh my God. They'd been having an affair the entire time. Maybe even before David and I got married. I threw up. Right there on the living room floor. Copper backed away, scared. My phone started ringing. David. Then my dad. Then David again. I didn't answer. I couldn't. I sat on the floor until the sun came up, staring at nothing, feeling nothing, thinking everything. Around 7 a.m. there was a knock at the door. I knew who it was before I opened it. My father stood there, fully dressed now, looking like he'd aged 10 years overnight. His eyes were red. His hands were shaking. "Emily, please." "Let me explain." "Explain." My voice was hollow. "Explain how you've been sleeping with my husband." He flinched. "It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think." I was screaming now. "How long? How long has this been going on?" He looked down. 3 years. 3 years. 3 years of lies. 3 years of family dinners where they sat across from me, smiling, pretending. 3 years of birthday parties and holidays and Sunday mornings where I was the fool who had no idea. Since before the wedding? I whispered. He hesitated, then nodded. I slapped him. I'd never hit anyone in my life, but I slapped my father across the face so hard my hand stung. He didn't flinch, just took it, tears running down his cheeks. How could you? I was sobbing now. You're my dad. You're supposed to protect me. You walked me down the aisle. You gave me to him. And the whole time, I'm sorry. His voice cracked. Emily, I'm so sorry. I never meant for this to happen. I didn't plan it. It started and I couldn't stop and... Get out. Emily, get out. He left. I slammed the door and sank to the floor again. David came home an hour later. He walked in slowly, cautiously, like he was approaching a wounded animal. Don't. I held up a hand. Don't say my name. Don't come near me. He stopped in the doorway. I can explain. Explain what? That you've been fucking my father for 3 years? That our entire marriage is a lie. It's not a lie. I love you. I laughed. A harsh, bitter sound. You love me? You've been sleeping with my dad and you love me? I do. I know it doesn't make sense, but I do. What your father and I have, it's complicated. It's not about you. Not about me? I stood up, shaking. You married me. You made vows. You promised to forsake all others. And you've been fucking my father. I never wanted to hurt you. But you did. You destroyed me. Both of you. He reached for me. I stepped back. Don't touch me. Don't ever touch me again. He pulled his hand back, tears in his eyes. What do you want me to do? I want you to leave. I want you out of this house. I want a divorce. And I never want to see you or my father again. Emily, please. Now. He left. I stood in the empty house, copper at my feet, and felt like my entire world had collapsed. 'Cause it had. The man I married. The man I trusted. The man I built a life with. And my father. The man who raised me. The man who was supposed to love me unconditionally. They betrayed me in the worst way possible. And I had no idea how I was ever going to recover from it. The next few weeks were a blur. I moved through them like a ghost, functioning but not living. I called a lawyer. Filed for divorce. David didn't contest it. He moved out immediately, went to stay with, I couldn't even think about it without feeling sick, my father. My father tried to reach out. Texts, voicemails, letters slipped under my door. Emily, please. Let me explain. I love you. You're my daughter. This doesn't change that. I blocked his number. Burned the letters. I told 3 people, my best friend Lisa, my therapist, and my lawyer. Lisa cried when I told her. Shelley cried. How is that possible? How could they do that to you? I don't know, I said. And I didn't. My therapist, Dr. Monroe, a woman in her 60s with kind eyes and a calm voice, told me this was trauma. That I needed to process it slowly, carefully. Betrayal from a spouse is devastating, she said. But betrayal from a parent? That cuts even deeper. You're grieving 2 relationships at once. I was grieving more than that. I was grieving my entire sense of reality. Because if my father and my husband could do this, could lie to my face for 3 years, could sleep together while I was in the next room, could pretend to be the 2 men who loved me most, then who could I trust? How could I ever trust anyone again? The divorce moved quickly. David gave me everything. The house, car, most of our savings. He didn't fight. Maybe he felt guilty. Maybe he just wanted it over. I didn't care. I just wanted him gone. My father kept trying. He'd drive by the house, park across the street, just sit there. I'd see his car and close all the curtains. One day, he left a box on my porch. Inside were photo albums from my childhood. Pictures of me and Mom, the me and him, birthday parties, Christmas mornings, my high school graduation, and a letter. Emily, I know you hate me. I know I've destroyed everything. But I need you to know that none of this was about hurting you. It was about me finally being honest about who I am. I spent 30 years hiding. Married your mother because it was what I was supposed to do. Loved her, yes, but not in the way she deserved. When she died, I thought maybe I could finally be myself. But I was scared. Terrified. I didn't know how. And then David came into our lives. And for the first time, I felt seen. Understood. I know that doesn't excuse what we did. I know it doesn't make it okay. But I need you to know that I love you. You are my daughter. You will always be my daughter. And losing you is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. I don't expect forgiveness. I just need you to know the truth. Dad. I read it once. Then I put it back in the box and shoved it in the garage. I didn't want his truth. I didn't want his excuses. I wanted my life back. But I couldn't have it. 'Cause that life was built on lies. 3 months after I found out, I was still living in the house. Still going to work. Still functioning. But I wasn't healing. Dr. Monroe suggested I try something radical. Write them a letter. Everything you want to say. Everything you feel. You don't have to send it. Just get it out. So I did. I sat at my kitchen table one night, a blank page in front of me, and I wrote. I wrote about the betrayal. The lies. The nights I lay awake wondering what I'd done wrong. The way my body felt foreign now, like it didn't belong to me anymore. I wrote about my mother. How she'd loved my father with everything she had. How she'd never known the truth. How I wished I could tell her, warn her, save her from the lies she lived in. I wrote about my wedding day. How beautiful it had felt. How my father had kissed my cheek and whispered, "I'm so proud of you." How David had looked at me like I was the only person in the world. How none of it was real. I wrote until my hand cramped. Until tears blurred the words. Until I had nothing left to say. And then I did something I didn't expect. I forgave them. Not because they deserved it. Not because what they did was okay. But because holding on to the rage was destroying me. I couldn't carry it anymore. So I let it go. I didn't reach out to them. Didn't send the letter. Didn't invite them back into my life. But I stopped hating them. And slowly, very slowly, I started rebuilding. I sold the house. Too many memories. Moved into a small apartment downtown with big windows and hardwood floors. Adopted a cat. Started painting again, something I hadn't done since college. I went on dates. Terrible, awkward dates that reminded me I was still alive. Still capable of feeling something other than pain. I made new friends. Took a pottery class. Traveled to places I'd always wanted to see. And one day, about a year after everything fell apart, I realized something. I was okay. Not healed. Not over it. But okay. I ran into David once at a coffee shop. He was with my father. They were laughing at something, holding hands under the table. They saw me. Their faces went pale. I looked at them for a long moment. And then I nodded. Just once. And walked away. 'Cause I didn't need closure from them. I'd found it in myself. My name is Emily. I'm 36 years old. And I survived the worst betrayal imaginable. I don't know if I'll ever fully trust anyone again. I don't know if I'll ever stop flinching when someone gets too close. But I know this, I'm stronger than I ever thought possible. And that's enough. For now, that's enough.